Let's do this like Reuters, because we always knew this, baby, baby.
You're listening to the Pillaging Podcast, companion podcast to PillagingJustForFun.com, the only Raider fan site made by Raider fans for Raider fans. Tune in every Tuesday on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher Radio. Call us and leave a message to be played on air at 408-909-PJFF. Also follow us on Twitter at PillageJustForFun. That's at PillageJust4Fun. I'm your host, Kenny Stapler, joined every week by my co-host, Raider Kane. And it's time to pillage another podcast. What's good, Kane? What did you get into this weekend?
What's good, Kenny? I just did some family stuff, man. Took my kids out to Disney on Ice and enjoyed that. We sat in the third row and, I want a funny story, man. If you go, let me just tell you something. If you're 45, 46, even if you're 39, 40, and you go to a Disney on Ice show and you don't have kids, don't sit in the VIP section with your big ass blocking all the kids' view. Don't do that.
That's weird.
That's disrespectful. And who does that?
That's just weird, bro. That's straight up weird.
Hey, I had two grown adults sit right in front of me blocking the kids' view. It just pissed me off the whole time, man. But other than that, I had a good weekend, bro. What you up to this weekend, man? How was your weekend?
My weekend was good, man. I spent a little bit of time with my lady. I went shopping because I dropped about 45 pounds so far this year. So I got in some new fits, got dipped. Was in the studio for a little bit. I'm working on an album. If y'all don't know, I do electronic music. Used to do hip hop. That music you hear at the front of the show and in the middle of the show. Some old stuff I did, but we're on that new bass music. So we just been grinding on that, man. Been real busy on that. If you follow the blog, you've seen I haven't written much lately, and that's why. Just been real busy. But it was a good weekend, man. It was productive. We actually got a break in the weather, and it was good to get outside to get some sunshine, bro. But not everybody had a great weekend. I'm talking about my boy Aldon Smith. I'll back this guy up. He's in the news once again, and everybody's already jumping on his back. And what happened was the San Francisco police were notified Saturday morning. They came to a residence in San Francisco. We don't know if it was his house or not, but we do know that he was interviewed by the police, I guess, questioned by the police, as well as the alleged victim. That doesn't necessarily mean this was him. He could have been a witness to this. It doesn't mean that he did anything. He wasn't arrested. Typically in a DV call in California, one person's going to leave in handcuffs. It could have just been the neighbors calling the cops and it was a big misunderstanding. But being the guy is the NFL star, this stuff leaks to the media. TMZ's reporting it. They seem to get their fingers in all of this stuff. I'm not going to rush too quick and say that he's guilty, but I can say a lot of other people are. And some of those folks may be the powers that be of the NFL or even the Oakland Raiders organization, which has been entirely supportive of Aldon this entire time. And it should be, because Aldon's a monster on defense. And that's what we're doing. We're running a football team. So what do you think about this, Kane? I think that this is going to stir up a lot of drama, but we really don't know anything yet. Yeah, it sucks hearing his name attached to this. But how do you feel about people that are jumping the gun already? It's just a couple hours new, and they already got this guy back in jail.
Well, first of all, I can understand people jumping the gun because Aldon has kept himself in a bad way for quite a while, some time now. But you still have to let the process do and see if he was actually guilty. They could have just been arguing inside their apartment. Somebody called the police. Wasn't nothing. They couldn't even been arguing. They could have just been having a loud conversation, a party or whatever, and somebody called the cops thinking it was a domestic violence. You don't know. You cannot speculate. That's why I am not going to sit here and speculate. I'm going to say until I hear something newsworthy that's actually true, I don't have a comment on this. I look for Aldon to be reinstated in March, and I look for him to be at OTAs in March. That's just how I feel.
Yeah. Like you said, that's the silver lining to this whole thing is that Aldon does get reinstated in March. Let's keep our fingers crossed that he stays out of the news. Until then, guilty or not, just stay out of the news, bro. Stay home, watch something on Netflix, order a pizza, just chill in the meantime. So we're not going to jump the gun here on this pirate ship. We asked Raider fan that you don't either. As Raider fans, as people in this world, we've all been caught up in a lot of drama. We've all had good times and bad times in our life. And, put yourself in his position. Hopefully the guy can get some help, and hopefully he gets cleared of all this and he was never involved in it to begin with. So moving on, Jack Del Rio got his contract. He got an extension. They tore up the old contract. I should say they got a brand new 4-year contract. Jack Del Rio is going to be here for 4 more years, nearly half a decade, we hope. We talked about this a few weeks ago. Kane, you had speculated that maybe this was a little bit of a premature move. I didn't disagree with you entirely. I can see your side of it. I could also see that this guy walked in the building and the culture changed and moved to a winning culture. Jack wouldn't show up unless they rebuilt the training facility, which they did. I think a lot of positives come along with Jack Del Rio. How do you feel about this new contract?
First of all, I want to say congratulations to Jack Del Rio on your contract extension. I guess you deserved it if the organization felt you did. My opinion is you could have waited till the end of this 2017 season. We have a much harder schedule. We play all the top teams in the AFC this year. So let's just see how he does with a harder schedule. And, you got to prepare a new backup quarterback in Connor Cook. And Derek Carr seems to have been prone to injury. I hate to say it, but he's been injured the last 3 years. He had to miss a game, or he was out of the Cincinnati game. He came back, I guess, a week later, but he was still out. You might have to go to point I'm trying to make, you might have to go to your backup. Point I'm trying to make, the defense did not play up to par. He's there to bring you a good defense. He's a defensive-minded head coach. So the defense didn't play well. He didn't throw. Looks like he threw K&J under the bus because he brought in Chuck Pagano. So let's see what you do this year. He brought in Chuck Pagano. What role K&J is going to have, we all don't know. What role you're going to have on the defense, we don't know. This is not the time to extend the contract for somebody that hasn't really proven excuse my language, to be honest with you. We went 12-4, but I blame that on Derek Carr and the offense. I don't blame that on Jack Del Rio. Jack Del Rio's hand was on the defense. So if the defense would have been playing like they should have been, who knows? 17-0, 16-0, I don't know. So, no, it's not time to extend Jack Del Rio. Not by any means.
Well,
but congratulations.
Congratulations, Jack. It's done. I can't think of a better guy for the job right now. So it is what it is. And if we go 8-8 this year, it's a problem. All right, so Jack's not the only guy returning, or I should say Jack's not the only thing returning. The Raiders, in fact, are returning to Mexico City next season. This isn't brand new news, but it was confirmed recently, and they will be playing your Super Bowl champion, the New England Patriots. Of course they will. Of course we return to Mexico City. Of course when we do, we got to play the New England Patriots. Of course. Why? Why would it get easier, Raider fan? Why will we not travel thousands of miles away? We do that, it seems like, every season. Why? Because if there's free money, Mark Davis is there. And you know this. It's why we will not be the visiting team in Mexico City. We will be the home team. Yes, Raider fan, season ticket holder, the same season ticket holder that had their prices jacked up on them this season, you get to lose another home game and pay twice as much. You can thank your boy Mark Davis for that. You know what? I don't like this. I don't like it for all the obvious reasons, but more specifically, we were there last year and we saw how rough that game was. If you watched that game, you could see the toll it took on the players being there. They just looked sluggish, winded, completely gassed. It was like a Denver game times 2. It was bad, in my opinion. What I saw on the TV screen is that the atmosphere there did, in fact, have a major effect on the play. And now we got to go back and face Super Bowl champions. What are your thoughts on this, Kane? What's your gut feeling about this? I know you don't like it, but talk to me about it. Tell me why I should feel good about this.
Like it? Oh man, that's understated. I hate it. I feel like you got a home field advantage inside the Oakland Coliseum. Whether you want to call it Old Dump Co. or whatever you want to call it, it's our home. We love it. We love to go there. And we would like to have seen the New England Patriots play inside that stadium. Mark Davis has truly effed us up again. I don't understand what this guy's problem is with the city of Oakland. I mean, other than the fact that you want us to give you something for free, I don't know. But you think playing in Mexico is going to help the NFL see you to any city you plan to move to? Come on, Mark. Let's get it together, bro. You know, playing New England Patriots in the Oakland Coliseum was your best chance to beat them. So you take them on to Mexico, and you take them on to Mexico again next year, too, and see how much support you're going to keep getting from people here locally that support you, that go out to the games, that want to see our team here in Oakland. You take the Super Bowl champion, New England Patriots, a rival of ours, though it be a far-off rival, it is a rival. May it just be by the fans or whatever. It's a rival in our minds. And you take it to Mexico, Mark, you just basically took your foot and stuck it up our ass. Thank you for doing that, Mark Davis. I appreciate that. And while you're doing other smart things, why don't you get a stadium deal in Oakland, California, where the team belongs? Why are you trying to take them off to Mexico to play in New England? This just doesn't make any sense to me.
I know you'd like to fly Southwest, Mark, but I'm going to do you a solid, Mark. Next year, when we go to Mexico City, I'm going to drive you personally myself in my garbage truck. Because you're the trash can player of the week, Mark. Let me back this thing up. You can get in right now. Let me back this thing. Hold on. Let me get this in gear. There it is. All right, yeah, jump in, Mark. We out this.
We out this, baby. and you in this. You in the trash can this week, dumpster boy.
Hey, so real talk, the way everything's been going lately, we may not even be allowed to play in Mexico next year, so don't even sweat it yet. Shh. And if we do, F it. Let's go back there. Let's do this. You know what? Here's my guess. I'm going to say 24-17, last minute touchdown, Derek Carr to Amari Cooper. Tom Brady breaks his ankle in the third quarter. Hey-o.
Hey, you know what? I'm going to say this, and y'all about to hate me. I hope we lose. I hope we lose, and I hope we lose bad. I hope New England whoop our ass. Because you know what? You should have kept the game in Oakland, California. Why did you move it to New Mexico or Mexico City? I'm sorry. Why did you do that? I hope this comes back to bite you right up in your butt, boy.
Hey, with that, we're gonna get up out of here. We had a couple callers this week. We'll hear from the callers, and we'll catch you on the other side of the break. We're gonna talk about Raiders free agency and who we got going, who we got coming, and we'll see you guys on the other side. We out this. Peace. You're listening to the Pillaging Podcast, companion podcast to PillagingJustForFun.com, the only Raider fan site made by Raider fans for Raider fans, featuring fan-submitted articles and the most lively Raider Nation conversation on the internet. Follow us on Twitter @PillageJustForFun. That's @PillageJust4Fun. Also, tune in every Tuesday on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher Radio.
What up, Kane and Kenny? It's your old pal Plunk. I'm reading this Aldon Smith thing, and god damn it, this guy's an idiot. Maybe it's time to let him go and definitely draft a linebacker. All right, go Raiders.
Kenny Kane, three Raiders. Can't believe those bastards won last night. I gotta say, I believe that Tom Brady is the GOAT. He owns every postseason record, and now he has 5 Super Bowls. I don't really think it's debatable. Also, with that, you know, the second game of the season this year, we played Atlanta really tough. So I know it's a moot point, but I really believe if Carr was there, it would have been a different outcome. Obviously, it would have been a different outcome, but we're encouraged. Raider Nation's encouraged. And man, we need to win the Super Bowl. I'm tired of Patriots, Denver, Patriots. It's getting old, especially living here with a bunch of Patriots and Bronco fans. I'm about to flip out. So anyways, go Raiders. Can't wait to listen to the show. Hopefully you guys had a great weekend. Take care.
All right, and we're back. We told you we're going to talk about free agency, and that's exactly what we're going to get into. The NFL offseason is short, it's shorter, and it's shorter. We're going to get into the July era, era. July is not an era, but it can feel like an era when you are in the middle of the NFL offseason. What I meant to say is the NFL offseason is short and shorter. The way they pump everything up now, the draft is a big event, the combine's a big event, free agency is a big event. Right now you got stadium stuff going on. You got teams that have moved and are possibly moving. So there's a lot of stuff happening in the NFL offseason, a lot of drama. When you get into July, it can't feel like forever. That's when things really die down. Yeah, you have camps and all that. Long story short, I have no idea where I was going with that. Free agency is upon us. It's time to start talking about it. The Raiders have a list of guys that are up in free agency. That's what we're going to focus on this week. Next week, we will be having Jason Cole on from Bleacher Report. He's going to help us break down what the Raiders' needs are and who their potential targets may or may not be. So let's get started. Let's go down this list. Let me get your reaction to some of these players, Kane. John Kondo, been here for a long time. He's got one job on the team. He does it really well. We've seen what happens when he's not there to do it. Do we keep him? Do we let him go?
Resign him.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer, right? Bring back John Kondo. There's not really much else that needs to be said about that. Stacey McGee, defensive lineman. He's a rotational guy. I think he's been there when he's needed to. He's a good breather for the starters, and at times he's started. He's flashed. I think McGee's a guy that you keep. You keep him on a budget. Unless there's a lineman that you have to sign and there's a free agent that they're targeting, I'd say why not keep Stacey McGee? He's young. He's cheap. And like I said, he's a good spell for the starters when he needs to be. And if somebody goes down, he's there to step up. What are your thoughts on Stacey McGee?
Stacey McGee has been a solid player. I say re-sign him. I say he's played well when when they needed him. He was injured, I believe, a lot this year though. But he's still a solid player. I'm not the type of person that says you should cut a player because they've been injury prone. I mean, this is a violent sport. And you can do everything you possibly can to keep your body in shape and still get injured. Look it like this. Offensive linemen, defensive linemen, they get injured the most. Running backs come next, and then you have wide receivers with hamstring issues, and then you have defensive backs. And then you get your linebackers and your safeties who get injured because of tackles they make. So this game is surrounded by injury. I mean, an injury, you could be, especially inside the trenches. And so for everybody to just keep saying, let's not re-sign a player because they got injured or whatever the case may be, I just don't agree with that. I think injuries happen, and that's just a part of the sport,
Yeah, McGee was hurt a little bit this year. You're right. And everything you just said, I agree with. But yeah, you need depth on that defensive line. Guys are going down all the time. Those are big dudes. They need a break. And Stacey McGee is a guy you can get on the cheap, and he's pretty solid. You can count on him when you need to. Another guy on the list, Michael Rivera. The Raiders not really criticized, but questioned going into the season with so many tight ends on the roster. But it's kind of like a Swiss Army knife position for us. Actually, maybe the complete opposite of that. What we're lacking is a Swiss Army knife type guy. It's like tight end by committee, I guess is what I'm trying to tell you. Michael Rivera, the most vetted guy on the staff, I think runs great routes. He's got great hands. He's good. He's not a breakout star tight end, but he was Carr's go-to guy when Carr first got here, and he showed that he was just as dependable this year when we needed him in a pinch. And then you got Lee Smith. He's basically your blocker, right? He had a couple pass plays called for him this year before he got hurt, but he's the blocking guy. Then you got Clive Walford. He's the young up and comer. He's the guy we thought could do both. Turns out maybe he can't do both. We're still waiting to see what's going on with Walford. I'd say by the end of this year, we should know who he is. I wish we knew who he was already. Michael Rivera, though, is a guy I think I might let walk this free agent offseason. You got a couple tight ends in the free agency class coming out, and we'll talk about that. And there's also the chance to take another shot on a guy in the draft and get a little bit younger. I think maybe we shave a couple dollars here, and Michael Rivera is a guy you might be a little bit surprised to see go. I don't want him gone. That's not what I'm saying. But I wouldn't be shocked to not see Michael Rivera return next year.
Yeah, Michael Rivera, that's the question up to the GM. I think Michael Rivera is a good pass-catching tight end. As far as blocking, we all know that he's not a good inline blocker. But if you throw him out there in the slot, he makes plays. So Walford hasn't really come along like we think we should have. And if you think about it, you really don't know what you got with Walford. I mean, so do you bring back Rivera to compete for at least a number 2 tight end spot at a lower value price? That's your own guy. You know what you got in him. You know what he brings to the table. You can design plays for him. Again, you know, we have a roster, like I talked to you earlier, we have a roster this time where we can actually re-sign some of our own players. We don't have to really go out. I'm not looking at this free agent period as a period to go out and sign a bunch of different people. We already did that. You know what I'm saying? It's time to develop. It's time to let these guys get into the system, you know, and then, yeah, you're going to let some players, they on the bubble, and Rivera, he's on the bubble. He's definitely on the bubble. He could be cut or he could be re-signed. So in my opinion, I'm going to say, for my opinion, re-sign him. Because if you design the right kind of offense to make it work, you're looking at Gronkowski, Hernandez again. 2 tight end sets. You got Walford, you got Rivera, you know, you got Gronkowski, Hernandez all over here in Oakland. So figure it out. Figure it out, offensive coordinator. Figure it out, because all tight ends ain't blocking tight ends.
I see what you're trying to say. I think Rivera-Walford comparison to Gronkowski-Hernandez is a bit of a stretch, but I see where you're going with it. Next on my list, Brendan Trawick. This guy is a special team stud. Not a name you hear called a lot, but the guy gets downfield fast and he can hit. And special teams is huge. You know, it's probably the most overlooked side of the ball without question. But when you got a guy like this, again, cheap, young, and he could step into during injury. I mean, he came in at the end of the year. We had some injuries to the safety position. And no, Trawick's not a star. I'm not saying this guy's the next phenom. But he had a nose for the ball, and he was around plays. Sure, he made some mistakes, but he was there. He was a body on the field. And actually, I think impressed more than he frustrated people. So I say bring back Trawick. Absolutely. That's sort of a no-brainer. But what are your thoughts on Perry Riley? Do we bring him back next year? This inside linebacker position we've been struggling with now for years, the better part of a decade, maybe even more. You had Heaney lined up to start the beginning of the season. That's how desperate things were. Then, McKenzie found Riley in the Washington Redskins dumpster, and he came and he played. He was a baller for us. But how do you feel about him? Is that a position you'd rather upgrade in the offseason? Because Perry Riley's still not the answer, a better solution than what we had before? Or do you bring the guy back and maybe best case scenario, he's the number 2 inside linebacker on your roster?
I agree with you with that. I would have to say you bring him back, and really it all depends on who they draft in the draft, but and whether they see or Riley himself sees himself as a starter, because in contract negotiations, if they tell him, hey, we'll give you a shot as a starter, but we might have other plans, then he may not want to resign here. He may want to go out and look for a starting role somewhere, so you can't say that we're going to just resign Riley. Do you bring him back? Yeah. Do you bring him back as the exclusive starter? Mm-mm. No, I think you got to go out and you have to either draft and particularly for me, draft a player or replace him. Find somebody in free agency. But for me, I particularly, the draft is going to be loaded with linebackers. So, yeah, bring Riley back, but not as an exclusive starter. Definitely not as an exclusive starter.
All right. Well, here's another name on the list. Backup, but certainly a big name on this list because his name gets people riled up in Raider Nation. Matt McGloin. I don't know, man.
I don't think his name gets you too riled up anymore, but
I should hope not. I hope that his performance this last year silenced a lot of his fans because I've been very skeptical of Matt. I think, yeah, sure, he's a scrapper, but he's not Gradkowski. He's not that guy. Another guy that has a legend in lore in Raider Nation as a backup. He's just not that dude. I think he wants to provide a spark. He looks like he's going to, but he folded like a wet napkin this year. Matt McGloin, I think you're gone, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a journeyman in that position next year. Still having Connor Cook on the roster, obviously, and Derek Carr, but look for an older veteran backup quarterback next year because if Carr does go down, you're going to need a guy that can go in there and at least manage the game, and Matt McGloin is not that dude.
I don't see the Raiders. I think we're going Connor Cook going forward. I think Connor Cook looked good for what you gave him. I think the situation you put this guy in, he had to come out there and play in a pinch, no reps, hadn't really got any reps with the number ones all year. You put him in, and then you had to throw, especially in the Denver game. He looked like he was, the next coming. So give him some reps, and I believe he's a viable backup. Any old arms you thinking about bringing in here, they aren't going to be better than Cook. They aren't going to be a better than developing your backup. And that's what the situation was this year. When Carr went down, you didn't have a backup that was ready to come in. You thought you did, but you didn't. And so I hope the Raiders learn a lesson this year. You lose Carr, you lose your season. But if you develop your backup and give him the reps, the time that he needs to come in case he has to actually play a few games, I think Connor Cook can be that guy.
All right, a guy that's been here for a while now, Andre Holmes, solid player, just a good dude. Again, another one of Carr's favorite targets early on in his career. Holmes just always seems to hang around and catch a touchdown every few weeks. He's a big dude, big target in the end zone, but he's on the other side of his career. He's getting a lot slower, and you hear his name called a lot less. This is a guy I actually like. I like to see him around. I like him on the roster, but I don't think he'll be back. I see the Raiders getting younger at the wide receiver position this year. They always seem to draft one or two, and that squad can be upgraded. And I really think that Andre Holmes doesn't give us anything we absolutely need or that we can't do better at. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Holmes gone. I do like the guy. I'm not saying he's garbage, but I wouldn't be shocked to see him be one of the names that gets cut this season. But what's your gut feeling about Andre Holmes? You think we keep him around, or is he playing somewhere else next year?
I believe he's playing somewhere else next year. That's yeah, because you got a lot of money you got to spend this offseason, and he's one of the guys that you can let go. You still got to think about all the other free agents we got on the roster, and he's one of those guys that either you're going to sign him for cheap, he's going to come back for cheap, vet minimum, or he's going to go out and try to find a team that, maybe give him a shot at the number 2, number 3 wide receiver.
Yeah. I want to be mad at Holmes for the minimum. Another guy that I think we actually re-signed him at the minimum. Last year he was cut and brought back at a more friendly contract. Nate Allen, he's pretty solid depth, I think, at the safety position. Again, not a fantastic player, but he's not garbage either. He's there if you need him to be there. And that's what a lot of these free agent type guys are this year on this list. They're not our starters. Reggie's done a really good job of locking those dudes up. And these kind of guys that were question marks when we brought in are basically in contracts that don't hurt us. And so now we can answer some of those questions. Again, McKenzie's done a stellar job of just that. So Nate Allen is a guy that I would probably keep around just because he's a veteran and you're grooming a younger Carl Joseph. And, Reggie Nelson had his issues last year. And I think unless you can get better for cheaper, then you're going to bring back Nate Allen next year.
I agree. Bring back Nate Allen totally, 100%. He played well when he got in. He seems to be settling into the system. He looked pretty good when he got his time to play. So, yeah, I would agree. Bring Nate Allen back.
All right, here's a guy that you and I often disagree on. I think he's gone next year. There's going to be some talent in the free agency pool, and we can always get younger at the cornerback position. I think DJ Hayden is gone. I think TJ Carey is going to take that slot. But what about you? I got a feeling you want Hayden back.
I'm not saying I want Hayden back, but I'm saying Hayden showed signs of promise as a slot corner. He went out and played some pretty good ball this year at times when we needed him. And I want to say that when he got hurt, there was a little bit of a drop-off to Carey. I mean, he was all right.
Carey actually graded out higher when he returned immediately than DJ Hayden. But I do got to give Hayden some credit because he did lead the league this year in one stat, and that was penalties. Hats off to you, DJ Hayden. League leader in flags.
I like this guy's footwork. I like he's got everything, the tools. He's got the everything, he just got to get it all together. You know what I'm saying? And I think I would hate to see him go to another team and put it together there and we not have that talent here. So with that being said, he might be a guy that we let walk. I hate to say it, but yeah, Hayden, we might let him walk.
There used to be a time where you would keep a guy just to have the body on the roster, just in case. But we're getting to the point where we need more than just bodies on the rosters. It's time to really upgrade the depth. And I think Hayden can be upgraded. I hate to see him go somewhere and hurt us, but I just don't think he will. All right, so last 2 names on our list, and these are tough ones. Actually, there's 3 names on our list. And some of these, I guess, are tougher than others, but these are the 3 biggies. We'll start with Menelik Watson. You either love this guy or you hate this guy. A lot of people think he's Mr. Glass, a lot of injury. I got to say, Watson showed a lot of grit this year coming back from an Achilles injury. That's a big dude, and a lot of people don't bounce back from those injuries at all. And Watson did this year. And I think we've seen that when he's healthy, he's got the tools to perform. I think that Watson comes back. He played way better than Howard this year. They split snaps in games for a lot of the time. And Watson, in my eyes, he passed the screen test. He held up a lot more than Austin Howard. What do you think about Watson? What are your feelings about him? Have we seen who he is? Does he still have a higher ceiling? Will he continue to be injured? I guess we don't know. But what's your gut feeling on that?
I feel like we bring back Watson. I mean, that's a no-brainer. In my opinion, the guy played well this year when he played. Look, the guy has always played well when he's been injury-free. He has an injury bug. And as I said earlier, I don't agree with, saying a player is a pussy or whatever because he gets injured regularly. look, this game is filled with guys get injured on every play. So, Menelik Watson is one of those guys that has had a tough break. The guy has gotten injured and he's missed a lot of time. But when he's played well. His technique is off the chain. Get him in there, keep him healthy. And I don't know how we do that with anybody, but I feel like the players that stay healthy, they stay healthy because they stay healthy by a way of luck. I think everybody try to stay healthy. I think most players that want to stay healthy, they try to stay healthy. They go out, they eat right, they nutrition right, they exercise right. They try to stay healthy. You get in a game, somebody rolls up on your ankle. You can't stop that. You get injured. You cannot stop that.
Nope.
So, like I said,
nope,
you can't stop that. So, like I said, Menelik Watson will be re-signed. Menelik Watson is the right tackle, and he'll be on the team. I guarantee you that.
And I think that he'll probably be the starting right tackle next year. And look at the bright side. Those of you that say he's injury prone, hey, all those injuries means you're probably going to get this guy back next year at a bargain. He's 28 years old. He's right in the prime. He's coming up on the prime of his career. And I look for Watson to come into his prime over the next 3. So I look for Watson to be a starting right tackle next year and to really fortify this offensive line. That's the weakest spot we have. And if Watson is your starter, it could be a whole lot worse. But let's get this guy some depth.
And then you know what, too? Step in the ring with him because he's a boxer. Since he a pussy, step in the ring with him. See if you can beat him up.
Yeah.
You calling him a pussy. He's a boxer. Challenge him to a boxing match and see if you can beat him up then. I mean, come on. Injuries are something that happen in the game. You can't say somebody is a pussy because they get injured.
Next on the list is Malcolm Smith, guy we got from Seattle. Came in here, followed Ken Norton Jr. He's played pretty mediocre, I'd say. He hasn't really made the big flashy plays. He's not that consistent, but he's decent in coverage, gets burned at times, but overall decent in coverage. Not the playmaker. I think we can do better. I don't know how much he's going to ask. What do you think? Malcolm Smith, keep him or leave him?
Malcolm Smith can be definitely upgraded. Bring him back. This is what I say. Bring him back at a price that you can afford. Don't overpay him. But also draft or go out and sign somebody in free agency that maybe that he can go out and compete against for the starting role. Don't just hand him a starting role. Don't just say we going into the season and penciled in or pinned in actually as Malcolm Smith as the starter. I think you need to bring somebody in. And Ben Haney is not the guy.
No.
There's a lot of linebackers in this draft that you could bring in that can challenge Malcolm Smith for his starting spot. I guarantee you that.
Let's get Reggie McKenzie to whip up one of his special contracts that leaves us with no baggage if Smith doesn't pan out. Let's bring that dude back on the cheap, and let's not hurt ourselves doing it. Last on the list, probably the biggest name on the list, a guy I think is a no-brainer. I can't understand why people are talking about letting him go. Latavius Murray. Finally, with a passing game, an offensive line, and some supporting run staff, we saw what Murray can be this year. The guy was running downhill. He was pushing forward, getting an extra 1 or 2 yards on most carries. The most physical season I've seen from Murray in his entire career. And he also developed a first step cut this year, making guys miss with the first move, not just plowing forward. I'm not going down on the first hit. Murray was actually able to sustain some damage this year. I don't believe he got a concussion. He fumbled a whole lot less. This was a hell of a year for Murray. This was his contract year. I think this guy wants to be back, and I think he's in a situation that really complements his style. I really want Murray back and pay the man. Don't pay through the nose, but give him some money. You're not going to get him on the cheap, but don't let him walk. What do you think about Murray, Kane?
That's a hard one. That's a really hard one. I think we should bring Murray back. Yeah, I think we should bring Murray back. I think he deserves a shot. Unless look, at 24, you ain't gonna draft a running back that's gonna replace him. So unless you find somebody in the later rounds that's got that size and that build and that speed, I say bring him back.
That's right, Murray. You're the MVP player this week. We had no games, but you're the real MVP. I like you, Murray. You had a great season last year. I think you're going to do better next year, and I got your back 100%. So Latavius Murray for the win. L Train will be running through Oakland again next year. That's all we got for this week's show. We will be having a guest on next week. I mentioned earlier, Jason Cole's going to be joining us. We're going to have him talk about some free agent targets and who's going to be out there and available for our team. And we may pick his brain on a couple other Raider issues as well. Before we get out of here, Kane, is there anything you want to say?
Shout out to the Pillaging Podcast crew. Shout out to the PillagingJustForFun.com blog. Shout out to Raider Nation.
All right. That's it for this week's show, guys. Tune in every Tuesday on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher Radio. Also follow us on Twitter at Pillage Just for Fun. Don't forget to call us. You can call anytime, day or night. Doesn't matter what day of the week. 408-909-PJFF and get heard on the show. As always, I'm Kenny Stapler, joined by my co-host,
Raider Kane.
And we out here. Peace.
We out here.
Go Raiders.
Raiders.